Squid got a haircut. Hops is a dumbass. Squid is a moose. And this is the Batcat Podcast, episode number 7.
He tried so hard.
I tried so hard. Yeah.
Episode 7, guys.
I know, it is episode 7. I tried getting all the transitions, but I'm just not good. I am just not good. So, I am not muted, FLM. You can shut it. Anyway, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about tonight, but I guess I will start with my new announcement, since I debated you guys most of the day on Discord with the amount of times I was going to actually have it. I accepted a new position in my real life. As of August 15th, I am officially going to be the Washington State University head esports coordinator. I am going to be...
Wow.
WSU is looking to actually start a varsity esports program from the ground up, ranging anywhere from intramural programs where people can just log on, scrim, join a league for various esports, to an actual degree through the communications department that I'm not really can't go into details right now, but we are looking to have a full varsity team with 10 to 15 full ride scholarships within the next couple years. And still not sure on the games. I'm arguing for a couple that they're fighting back on me already, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. So August 15th. No violent video games. That's going to be interesting.
That
so
sounds,
it's, well, there's an argument to be made there. It just depends. But yeah, so August 15th. Lucio Ball is violent because it makes me want to kill somebody. Anyway, going on, because Lucio Ball is the worst event in Overwatch, hands down.
Snowball Offensive is the worst.
Nope.
It is the worst.
Lucio Ball is an objectively good game.
It is. You shut your mouth.
By which metrics?
After they changed it. After they added changes to it.
Just because you suck at it doesn't mean it's bad.
It's bad. Fight me. Fight me.
All right,
Fuzzy.
get him off the podcast. Maple, it's just me.
He's
and you
gone.
now.
He's gone.
Nothing's changed.
But yeah, so beyond that, I will be paring down some of my online responsibilities just because obviously this is going to be a huge time sink on my part. So not sure what's going to go, what's going to stay, but it's going to be interesting. So hopefully it'll be good. It's taken a long time of grinding to actually be considered a professional esportser. So it'll be cool.
Now you can have a cool Twitter bio about how you're an esports historian or professional or whatever the fuck you want to call it, and be a pretentious asshole.
I mean, it's going to be
analyst of Washington State University, historian, expert, coordinator, extraordinaire.
Anakin, you're late. You missed my big reveal, but that's fine. You already knew it. Anyway, so yeah, we have a couple topics we're going to get to tonight. Mainly going to be covering the stage, what is it, 3? I'm kind of out of it right now.
3 now.
3 playoff recaps focusing on the domination of the Shanghai Dragons, of all people. And then got a couple other things to close out the podcast, like really disappointing developer updates. Or if it is disappointing, should we even expect it? Should we desire it? The first thing I do want to mention is that it's very scuffed that stage finals are not on the replay viewer as of yet.
They are. They put them on an hour ago.
An hour?
About half an hour ago. Oh.
The run sheet's outdated.
I was gonna start
my fault.
watching, and then I just realized I didn't have time, and I wasn't used to the controls. And oh man,
I was just playing another game at that point, and I was like, screw it.
Yeah, I started
half an
playing
hour is
another
not
game.
going to be enough time to do analysis for this.
Yep. But they're on there now.
Yes. Okay. So because of that, we haven't really had a chance to go deep dive in with the Owl viewer. But what you
we're
guys
just gonna make up bullshit.
We are gonna make up bullshit. That's what we do. What do you guys think of the Shanghai New York XL match which I did correctly predict that would happen.
I'm just disappointed, man. Like,
Why
what
are you
happened in New
disappointed?
York?
Like, this is a par for the course.
But,
I feel like you should
well,
expect
like, I am disappointed that it was such a blowout. Like, come on, New York, you can do better.
I've only seen like clips of it. I didn't have time to watch like the actual match, but I'm not really surprised. They don't.
You're not
just
really surprised?
I'm not surprised. They just choke on every single stage final ever, except for like the first two. And I don't think they're expecting how good Ding and Coma are. And I think that was the match where Luffy like popped off. I saw some nasty sleeps when they were playing against Nixel from Luffy, which was cool to watch.
I mean,
I think Shanghai's definitely been, New York's been on a little bit of a downward slope, and Shanghai's definitely been projecting upward. But I think definitely something that contributed to them being so dominant this past weekend. I think pretty much everyone stepped up on an individual level over the way that they've been playing for the rest of the stage, right? I think Ding has always been an insane Pharah, but he was just off the charts this week. DM was clicking heads as he always does, but a little bit better. And even I think one of the really underrated things is, I mean, talking about like the support line as well, right? And talking about, I mean, Luffy popped off, but also Coma on Mercy.
Coma was a fucking hero.
You know, I think it's really interesting. I think stage one, everyone kind of talked about like Neptuno being one of the best Mercies, right? Because he was like kind of flashy, very like, you know, wasn't afraid to pull out the pistol. But I think Coma is like turning heads for totally different reasons on Mercy now, which is really cool. I mean, people are like, you know, how the fuck does he get these reses off? You know, doing insane things like body blocking for his Pharah during Barrage. Who does that? Who the fuck does that?
Now I gotta do that. I gotta work on that.
Out of their minds. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna feed my brains out in comp games trying to do that and just dying.
Fail miserably. Yeah.
So, what did you guys think of the choice for New York XL to not play Sabiolbi? He was a solid Sombra throughout the entire stage, but nope, playoffs, he's benched.
Who did they have playing Sombra? Did they have a Sombra? Who was it?
I think they went back to playing more like normal 3-3, right?
But when they had the Sombra,
why didn't they just let him play Hitscan? Like, why didn't? Okay. Well.
I mean, we'll see, because I think it was Meko mainly. But either way, like, you have him like actually get really good at Sombra throughout the stage, and then you just don't use him.
Last couple matches. I don't think it was really because he needed to practice for next stage. I think it might have just been like a bad decision, roster-wise, and who they wanted to play. Because I think they wanted to like have Meko and Nene because they can flex to other things that Sabiolbi isn't as good at flexing to.
You think Sabiolbi couldn't flex as well onto the Widow or the Tracer into Shanghai? And then Nene would have been more confident?
If they went straight 3-3, Nene could have flexed to like the Brager and off tank better than SBB could have.
Interesting.
I'm just guessing.
I think
I'm just guessing.
So they play like Nixel played a lot of Sombra Goats this stage, but I wasn't totally convinced on it. I think other than like one or two games this stage, they did have a bit of an easier strength of schedule. And I think that may have masked the fact that their Sombra Goats wasn't as strong as their record suggested.
I agree.
Especially when you look back to Sabiolbi's first or second game where he came in and was playing Sombra, and things like his EMPs were very predictable, very easily read. And basically the only reason they like won that first match or two is off the heroics of other people on that team and just that synergy that they have. But I think there's also something to be said for I to use a hockey term that people like to use, I think Savioli brings a lot of quote unquote intangibles to that team when he's in the lineup. Insofar as, he's a proven leader, and he's probably one of the people that can really help the team like mentally reset. And I think that's something that, tilt is a very real thing in Overwatch, and we've seen that come out of a number of teams in important moments. And I have to wonder if maybe Nixel kind of got tilted, playing up against, some of these Shanghai comps where you kind of feel helpless at times.
I mean, I think the same thing can be said about Vancouver. I've watched many of their games when they were runaway, and I've watched every Vancouver game this year, but I have never seen them look so mentally boomed.
God, they look awful.
They could not figure it out.
And it became very apparent that Bumper is only Bumper is when he's winning or like narrowly beaten, but they were just had the shit beat out of them. I think 3 out of the 4 maps that Shanghai won, they won pretty decisively, like pretty much without contest. And then one they like narrowly won, but it was still there was really no question about it.
4, right?
What?
FLM is asking, did the Titans have tilt issues?
I don't think they had tilt issues. I just don't think they really had an answer to Ding and Coma, because I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't think of any hit scan they have.
Stitch is a very good DPS, and he's a good hit scan. But again, like, you can't just randomly... I was supposed to be cut out. My apologies. You can't just randomly throw a hit scan player in there and say, okay, go kill those 2. It's not going to work.
They did a really good job of countering him. Like, every time they go for Stitch first and then move over to the supports, and then the rest of the team would shove in on the tanks.
Mm-hmm.
So they did a good job.
Yeah.
And I think there's also something to be said, like that composition that Shanghai likes to run with 3 DPS when you have Youngjin playing something like Doomfist or the like. Really, really hard. Even if you have something like, if you have Stitch Golem McCree, right, which is a strong pick for him objectively, it's a lot of things for him to try to handle in that role, right? You have to deal with Afara 99% of the time. You have somebody like DM either on Widow, in which case, you're kind of fighting losing battles McCree anyway, for most of the time, or if he's on Sombra, right? And then you have to deal with both those things. You have Doomfist coming in, and then Gamsu's been really good about engaging as Hammond with his DPS grenades. Like, you can't flash. Well, I guess you can flashbang 4 people at once, but it's pretty fucking hard.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, you have to get more lucky to get that right than anything else. So, it's frustrating, even if you put someone in that role where they can deal with it well. It's just a lot to handle.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly right. It's like, you can't just say, okay, Stitch, you're running hit scan, and then have basically like McCree goats and expect him to be able to make all these counters, especially with Luffy just yeeting like sleep darts out of Narnia and just picking off anybody he chooses. Like, it was insane. It's been a while since I've seen anybody look that mentally boomed on stage. Bumper did not even, like, as he was walking off, you could tell he was
so sad.
He was broken. It was sad, but it was great at the same time.
It was kind of like, well, this is kind of inevitable.
I'm a big Bumper fan, so I enjoy it. Like, it wasn't like the photo of Super just like this, looking as the confetti was falling down again. Like, it wasn't quite that, but it was still a little rough.
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said, and we had talked about this when they lost that first regular season game as well, but losing is still kind of a new thing to them. Like, that's a weird, probably not the best way to put it, but they've lost, what, 3 times? Like, up until, the last month or two, they basically hadn't lost the match in like a year and a half, right? And to go from that to, you've now lost You lost in the stage finals, which, there's still something to be said for that in stage 2. But now you're getting knocked out in quarterfinals by a composition that, until recently, everyone's kind of been like, no problem, we'll run goats and we'll just roll over them. Like they can't do anything to us. So I think there's something to be said there about, they just haven't lost a lot.
I think the only map they won on was Nimbani, where they're like the established dominant team.
Yep.
Like they speed ran that thing, and then everywhere else they just struggled so hard.
That team's last loss on Nimbani was December 5th of 2017.
Jesus Christ, that was like 10 billion years ago. Shit. Yeah, I mean, if you go from not losing for 2 years to losing 3 times in one stage, and the last time losing to a team that had previously been utter garbage, and then losing in such a decisive and way, and being literally smacked into the ground like a volleyball, holy crap, I can't even imagine how that would feel. That would suck.
I'll be really curious to see, and again, we've talked about this in the past, but I'm trying to figure out if them not I don't want to say not performing well, right? But them losing, I wonder if we're going to see that kind of rejuvenate them and remotivate them for stage 4, or if this is a more systematic problem that we've talked about, which is that they've been a GOATS team for a year and had more practice than everyone else. And the meta's, all things considered, the meta's escalated really quickly over the last month.
Yeah.
And if it's something where they haven't been able to adapt to it as fast, it could also just be that, their strengths don't play well into the current meta. And it's not that they're not adapting, it's that they're just their style of how they individually play is better suited towards a meta that's kind of on the way out now. But it's going to be really interesting to see how they do in stage 4, because I think I don't know what their schedule looks like, but I think there's a good chance that they still go something like 6-1 or 7-0. But I think there's also a chance that maybe we see them slip down to more of a middling record, depending on how the meta changes, and if we get something 2-2-2 lock.
I will just point out that stage 4 week 1, Shanghai versus Vancouver.
Dope.
That's hilarious.
So we're going to see that very, very quickly. So moving on to the finals, Shanghai Dragons versus San Francisco Shock. What the hell was up with Striker, Architect, and Smurf playing?
I think Krusty talked about this a little bit on his stream, but I guess they wanted to try to take the 1v1s, and they felt that Architect would be able to take Ding on the Pharah 1v1, that Striker would be able to take DM on the Widow 1v1, but I think I don't know if they underestimated Shanghai and thought that they could kind of tear their game apart and make them play this more 1v1 kind of thing. But that's not the game that Shanghai was playing, right? They kind of stuck to their game, other than Ding playing, Pharah, throw balls at each other and, miss each other for a couple minutes. They didn't really take a whole lot of those 1v1s.
They absolutely did not. It was very strange. They just looked completely lost. And then when they ended up making a switch back to their regular comp, it basically screwed map 2, I think, because they didn't have the chemistry from just going out of the gates with their main starting lineup. And it looked like it took them one full map to actually respond.
Yeah, I think there's something with that, and there's also something to be said, I think, for just momentum. And Shanghai won pretty convincingly on that opening control map. And I think from there, it just took some time for Shock to kind of mentally reset and get back on track, right? And especially if you look at the maps that were played, I guess it was their map picks for 2 and 3 as well as 4, but I think until they got onto that escort for that map 4, that's when they could really start to restabilize on goats and really start to feel themselves again and start to play well. And that's when we started to see things turn around, and they definitely made it close for us. But maybe if they could done a little bit better on 2CP or something, or made that work, then could have been a totally different match.
Yeah, I'm just looking over the map scores right now, and it's like the first, like all three maps were very close. I mean, 2-1, 3-2, 4-3. So it's not like they went out and clapped them like they did the Titans, but it's still just seeing at how quickly they were manhandled, I think really put them on their back feet. I mean, Super's confidence took a knock in the beginning, and I don't think it took. I think it took a couple maps for him to actually like get his footing back under him, which is something Bumper could not do. I mean, they were dominant in those last three maps in what is it, 4, 5, 6, where they were like they shut them out on Havana.
I'm surprised they won Havana. Honestly,
Really?
I thought that Dragons were gonna take it because it's pretty friendly to Pharah and Widowmaker as a map, except for the second point. But I'm surprised they didn't just full hold them first point, to be honest. Because they were almost at a full hold and they like lost out because the shock blasted like 4 ults at once on them.
Yeah, I think that the one thing that I thought that Dragons did very well is that their positioning for the Far Mercy above the building where the spawn is was brilliant, I think, because you have DM aiming right down the spawn door and you have Hell being rained from above. Like, that is a very good forward hold position.
It was so annoying because at first, because the observing, I couldn't tell where they were because like you could hear the rockets. You're like, where the fuck are they? And then finally, like, they happened to observe a DPS that looks straight up, and they're like, oh,
yeah,
they're just right above spawn. It was so cool to see.
Yeah, the aesthetics in that map are very much the same throughout the entire map. So I could definitely see that observing in that map would be a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
I think something to be said for that map though, and like there's long sight lines that favor Pharah and Widow, but there isn't really a whole lot of like cross pressure that you can really provide, right? Like it's a fairly linear map, especially on that first point.
The first point is pretty like boxed in.
And I think what happens is that you really have to be able to either like establish like dominance with the shield break and then be able to step up and take space to get around that first corner. And that's not exactly something that Shanghai did. And I think we saw a lot of like the Pharah and the Widow kind of playing down these really linear sites. And Shock was really good about making sure that they couldn't kind of come up and start to take that space from them. And that's why they got a bit stuck there. So it'll be interesting to see if more like I'm not convinced that Widow Pharah is necessarily strong on that map, and I'd be really interested to see what comes in the future. Although I don't know if we'll get it next stage, right? Has it been played in 2 stages, or was stage 3 the first time that we saw it?
Stage 3 was the first because it came out like right in the end of stage 2.
So I lost all sense of time.
Welcome
I couldn't remember when we actually got the replay viewer either. I was like, oh, did they not put up the replays for the stage 2 finals either? And then I was like, wait, did we even have the replay viewer for stage?
I don't remember. I haven't really had time to touch this replay viewer, which is sad. Not really surprised that the Shock won the Ilios map because it just kind of Goats just kind of dominates on Koth. Honestly, like Goats is like, especially playing into a comp like the Dragons are playing, like they have a lot higher chance of winning on a Koth map than on like a linear map because there's a lot less crossfire and there's a lot more like individual play than there is team fighting. Like there's a lot more 1v1ing potential, I guess. So it's easier for like a Hog to be out of position and hook a Pharah and get a kill or hook a Widow than it is on like Havana. Also, I think.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think Shock has like a really good record on Ilios. I think that's their Koth map, from what I remember.
I think that map in particular, Choi, like of all people, Choi Heelman on the Roadhog was doing a really good job of mitigating ding on the Pharah.
He was so good.
We were talking about, trying to go hit scan before. It's like, nah, that's not what we need.
Yeah,
Next
he was
time there's an
wild.
enemy Pharah on the team in my games, I'm gonna swap Roadhog. I'm gonna be like, it's okay, guys. I watched Choi Hyomin. It's cool. Trust me. And then I'm gonna feed my brains out for the rest
Yeah,
of the
baby.
It's gonna be great.
So this leads me into an interesting thought. It's like you run a comp with Ding, DM, and Youngjin. If the 222 lock comes out on Thursday like it's rumored to be, how is that going to affect them? Is that going to really neuter the Shanghai Dragons to a certain extent? Because right now, like, they do have the flexibility to play comps, but like they excelled on the 3 DPS 1 tank.
They would probably just sub out Young Jin's third DPS for like a Hog or a Zarya and get effectively the same result. Because Gamsu and Wrecking Ball would give a Zarya like fat energy.
You really think they're going to run Hammond Zarya?
I mean, it depends on the map.
I think
Depends on the
they're
map.
when you look at, there, no question, if we go to a 2-2-2 lock, I think Widow's still going to be really strong, as we saw last season. So you're definitely going to have DM playing. And Ding has not only been a monster on Pharah, but it's also been very consistent on other projectile heroes as well. So unless you want something like, a Doomfist specialist on a certain map or something, which, I hope we never get to that point in the league. As a flex support main, I would die, like many times, like in the game, but also in real life. But
Just play Moira. God.
But I think something that I think people, I don't know if they just like don't remember or what. Like they have Geggery for Diva, but they also picked up Envy, right? And I think Envy is actually a really strong off tank player. I've been following him back since he was on Immortals before Overwatch League, right? And I think he's a really strong player, and has a kind of a different play style than Geggery, which might be a little better suited to this meta. So I think if they go 2-2-2, they're not going to be really hurting, but I'll be curious to see how they transition and if they do things like, what we see Orisa Diva, or maybe like Orisa Winston, or if it's going to be, or excuse me, Hammond Diva or Hammond Winston, or if it's just going to be like they're going to be playing Orisa like everyone thinks everyone is.
It's Orisa's probably going to have a near 100% pick rate going into a 2-2-2. I mean, it's going to be map dependent, of course, but like Orisa is so stupidly strong right now that you're going to see a lot of Orisa on attack, Orisa on defense. It's just going to be interesting.
We already did see that this weekend. There was a lot of Orisa played this weekend.
Yep. And it's like going into a 2-2-2, I think Orisa's going to be the primary main tank. As much as I've really been enjoying Hammond, I could see a team like Chengdu trying to run like a Winston Hammond dive comp, but I still think the predominant strategy is going to be Hog Orisa, and double sniper. I think it's going to be boring to watch. I mean, I am one of those people who I cannot stand watching Widow POVs, but I know I'm in the minority of that one, so.
Actually, I'm not sure if you're in the minority on that one.
A lot of people don't like watching it unless they're switching back and forth between two Widows like popping off, which is like fine. Or they're doing like fun 1v1s where they're doing stupid shit to kill each other.
You know which POV I like to watch even less?
Tracer.
Than Widow? No. Tracer I don't mind, depending on like where, like when during the fight it is and where they're at.
Sombra.
Watching a Pharah try to 1v1 another Pharah
man,
mid-fight and having no idea, like you just like see the kill feed going and have no idea what's going on down there. And you're just like, well, we missed the 12th shot in a row on that other Pharah that's 100 meters away, and it's like there's 10 other people that are playing. I guess 8 other people that are playing right now, right?
Mercy's
are with them, but that's got to be like the worst for the Mercy player, right? It's like, I'm just gonna fly around. Oh, my team's dying down there. Hi guys. Okay, I'm gonna be up here with my Pharah. Hope that's cool. I hope that's okay with you guys.
I mean, in addition to that trio just being disgusting, Luffy and Koma are are probably the two best support line, like how they're playing right now in the league, I think.
Yes, there's no doubt about it.
I don't know about that. I think I'd have some doubt about it. I think specifically on like Widow Ana or Mercy Ana with that team comp, I think they've been looking really strong. But I don't know if I'd be sleeping on some of the other support lines in the league. I think Big Goose and Shaz are still one of the best support lines in the league. I think Jonak and Onimo it probably is still the best support line in the league. But I think Shanghai has found a composition that really works for them and like plays to everyone's strengths.
Shanghai's team comp does a good job of enabling their supports.
Mhm.
So they might not be the best, but they have the most opportunity to capitalize with their team's comp.
I think one thing that's been really interesting too is we've seen them throw the third DPS on Brigitte, basically just to have some more healing and some more protection for that backline, so they can continue to enable, their DPS and their supports.
Twilight and Slime got dunked on this weekend. They got absolutely dicked by Ding. Like every time I watched them, like literally every time I saw them, it was just to watch Ding fall on them and press Q.
I don't think I've seen a case of one individual player being bullied as much as I saw Twilight getting just
Twilight got the shit
manhandled.
I think who got bullied even harder this weekend was Violet by Youngjin.
I mean, maybe, but like Twilight towards the end of that series, I started actually feeling bad for him as a person.
Twilight couldn't do anything
because he was completely helpless.
Like he was just completely separated from the rest of his team. It was good to watch. It was fun to watch. Because the Pharah is just dancing around these fucking Pharah rockets while he's trying to shoot people with his healing turrets. It was funny. It was good times.
And actually, there's a question on chat going back to where we were talking about Widow or Pharah 1v1s. Is there a mirror 1v1 duel that you guys like watching? Besides Torb. Hammers.
I think Roadhog is a really
Roadhog is a really fun one. Don't hook first.
Yeah, there's a lot with like how you use your cooldowns in it, but also depending on like how you use left click versus right click and how well you like aim the projectile for it and everything. I think that's actually pretty fun. Rhine v Rhine, like March said, is Rhine mind games, right? That's like the OG mind games of Overwatch. And we still see some of that in goats, right? When both guys have shatter, but it's everything just gets blocked by bubble and shield.
Ana 1v1s.
So.
The ultimate mind games are Ana 1v1s. When are they gonna sleep me? When are they gonna nade me?
So, the last thing I want to bring up about the Shanghai match is 0-42 to stage 3 champions. I mean, like,
wild.
There's a handful of worst to first stories in traditional esports, but I feel there's even less quite like this in esports.
I don't really think there are. I think it was established that like this is actually the worst record in esports history. Like there isn't actually worse. So
I don't know. I was down in LA for the opening weekend of Overwatch League, and I have never been in a situation where every single person, you could tell, the casters, the fans, everybody else but the opposing players were rooting for Shanghai to win.
Amazing.
And I didn't see the Shanghai first win. I wish I would have, but the tension was actually palpable in there. Like it was crazy. We were all wanting it to win, and then just to see them turn around and win the stage. The only thing that would have been better is that if Gigery would have gotten 1 minute of playtime.
She like played the second match, didn't she? She got like one match or like one map in the first stage, I think. And then they realized that like it wasn't the meta for her, and they're like, well, sorry.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if she comes back for this next stage, but you have Envy there that is a little bit more flexible, so it'd be interesting to see if they use her.
Daya's still there. Daya? Is that his name?
Dia.
I guess Dia's still there.
Yeah,
Didn't do anything
Gigery
else.
was not on their debut roster, so no, I don't know if there is.
I don't think anyone's left of that initial roster. I don't think there's anyone that should be left from that initial roster. When you look at the
Five Kings was
problems-
fucking awful.
Oh
the
man,
problems that plague that initial roster with corruption and cronyism and stuff like that. I mean, I think honestly, I think the Dragons is a really good redemption story for management, but I think from an actual player perspective, when you look, this is mostly a new team this season, and I don't know if I think actually the bigger storyline for at least these particular players is that it's for the most part the Kongdu Panthera roster that could never quite bring home that championship in Apex right before Overwatch League or any contenders, and they got so close so many times. Honestly, kind of like Runaway, they basically had a very similar redemption story to Runaway, except without the X many wins in a row before they came into the season. I think that's really cool for them. It's a good story for Korean Overwatch. This was historically a strong squad in Korean Overwatch for a long time, and it's just a little sad that they couldn't do it with their full roster quite like Vancouver did. Although to be fair, I wasn't totally. I don't know if they would have won this if they still had the original KDP tank line that is not with them now.
I think maybe obviously it's a new team, but I think there's also something to be said about the fact that you're fighting into an 0-42 mentality. There's a certain level of negativity surrounding that, even despite how much the fans want you to win, you still have to contend with the fact that your team sucks.
yeah, your
team is utter garbage.
It is a big cloud over you. Could the acquisition of Gamsu be literally the best acquisition or trade in Overwatch League history?
Fucking legend.
Considering what he came into Shanghai and did, who else has had such an immediate and huge impact on their team?
He joined the team right before Stage 1 started, and he had very little time to work with them, and they almost won their first match with almost no preparation working with Gamsu. It was pretty impressive how fast they turned around just adding him to the roster. He's a Fisher's mechanically good, but he's no leader because he's a little. Okay, well, all right. He's a drama queen. But Gamsu's mechanically good, and he's a leader, and he's positive, and he's just everything that you want in a teammate and someone that you want to get on your team, especially if it's dog shit like Shanghai Season 1 was. So I think it's pretty arguable that he was the best acquisition of any team in the last 2 seasons.
You look very doubtful, Squid. What say you?
Please, Squid, provide me with a better option.
There's something to be said about, it didn't pan out long term, but the immediate impact that Fisher had when he went to Gladiators last season, from being a guy that rode the bench to, honestly, scratching being an MVP for the season, right? Even though it seems like he's had his ups and downs mentally, and retired now, unfortunately. But I think so. Gamsu has been a really good role player for Dragons, but I can't think of a single iconic Gamsu clip, right, that came out of this season so far. As opposed to think about Fisher killing the Farm Mercy, right? That's an iconic clip that will be in Overwatch history forever. You always see that clip come up.
At the same time, can you equate highlights to impact? If Gamsu he is a hands down better locker room person than Fisher, it doesn't matter who has more highlights, because obviously Fisher's burned bridges every single org he has, and when he tries to come back in 6 months, he's probably going to burn that bridge too.
He's the Korean XQC. Only XQC is actually better than him.
Doubt.
In respect to just burning as many bridges as
Also
Fisher
doubt.
did in such a short amount of time.
I mean,
Chat,
XQC
where's
is a
my doubt key? I'm mashing it.
XQC's was largely self-destructive
Yes.
behavior. I think Fisher's was like he brought down morale for everyone else around him.
he
But
he's
XQC still showed up to his matches.
yeah, it's one of those things that like XQC is like was like trying to hold like a burning piece of wood in your hand. Like you know it's on fire, you know it's gonna burn you, but you're gonna enjoy the warmth while you have it. Fisher is just like a hand grenade with a pin pulled. You know it's useful, you know it's gonna be there, but it's going to blow up at some point. So it's kind of both sides of the same coin, I think. There's still just one. There's definitely one person I'd rather have on my team than the other, and that's without question. I don't know. I just think in terms of value, Fisher was very good and made an immediate impact on the Gladiators. But where was he when the Gladiators actually needed him in the playoffs?
I think it's a question of what's more important to you as a franchise, right? Are you trying to sell jerseys or are you trying to win?
Yeah,
and I think there's definitely some, or not definitely, but there are some teams that seem a little more focused on the selling jerseys thing. And there's no doubt in my mind that there were a ton of Fisher jerseys sold when he got traded to Gladiators last season.
No, absolutely. I'll definitely. But again, it's like, what do you value as impactful? Do you value just straight wins, losses, team morale? It's the same thing you hear with traditional athletes all the time. It's like you bring a guy like, I'm dating myself, Dennis Rodman into the team. He's gonna pull you 40 rebounds a game, but he's gonna kick photographers and cuss out the coach and get hungover and miss meetings and just cause chaos on the behind the stage. So what's more valuable to you? I would still say that Gamsu is probably the most important pickup that they could have done.
Gamsu didn't make any highlight plays, but he was just so consistent in making space and giving the DPS the opportunity to make the plays that they needed. His wrecking ball is fucking next level. Holy shit, dude. I loved watching him just roll in and seismic slam, and then the Pharaoh would pick off 2 people in a row, and it was wild. And his Orisa's okay, but also I guess it's because they were playing solo tank, so he didn't have a lot of presence behind him to keep him alive. But then he would just roll out Hammond. He's just so consistently showing up as a main tank, both physically and performance wise.
And I think to piggyback off of something that you said, part of the reason why I still think we'd see Orisa if 222 comes into play is there are certain synergies that she has with, that Wrecking Ball. I keep on getting Orisa and Wrecking Ball mixed up in my head. Sorry.
They're both animals.
East Coast, it's late, folks. I want to go to bed. But Hammond Ball has certain synergies with DPS characters that are going to be prolific, like Widowmaker, where you can come in and do that seismic slam, and then the people that got slammed are in a fairly predictable trajectory, which makes it fairly easy to get Widow headshot or get hit by a Pharaoh rocket or something like that. So I think there are going to be teams that can make use of that, and maybe we'll even see something and this is going to sound like Ladder Madness, but Wrecking Ball and Roadhog, where you can basically do the slam to pull or slam to hook combo.
Chengdu Hunters are going to have a fucking field day.
Yep. I was going to say Wrecking Ball, Doomfist, and Hog for the most annoying comp in the history of
their
comps.
Self-sustain is massive. Holy crap.
Yeah. It's going to be crazy. Let's go ahead and pivot to another little topic that we were going to talk about. Last week, Jeff Kaplan put out a new developer update, I guess you can call it, which was 2 minutes and 20 some odd seconds of basically, we have stuff coming, but we're not going to tell you what it is.
It was the ultimate clickbait.
It was, it was developer clickbait is basically what it was. The developer updates, people used to set alarms on YouTube to have it emailed and notified and pinged. Oh, this is exciting. I cannot miss these videos. Now, probably for the last 4 or 5, we've gotten them. They're just not even worth really watching it.
The
for
last one
anything.
was okay. The wait, June? The
I don't know.
June one was pretty good. He talked about subtitles and some other stuff, which was like, I appreciate that one because it was better than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Which was what we got for like 6 months before that.
But like
I'm not gonna complain.
that leads into the question of, as a player base, what do we, deserve? Do we deserve the more content filled developer updates where, they're going to tell us what's going on, they're going to tell us their plan, or have we kind of gotten spoiled and it's they don't have to release these developer updates, they just do for the health of the game?
I like the monthly update. The monthly update, just like on what their plans are for the foreseeable future, is cool. I think it keeps people interested. It keeps it fresh, and it gives people like vague expectations. If they keep it like vague enough, but also like specific enough, it'll be like tickle my fancy, and I'll be like, ooh, 222, nice, let's do it. But not like specific dates. I think that's fine because then I have something to look forward to in life besides the crushing depression of my nights in bed. But then
We got too real, man. Delete the VOD.
Not giving updates is kind of like, well, we'll just it. Like people say that Blizzard ignores us, and it kind of feels like that. But then when they stop giving updates, it feels like they're ignoring us. Like it feels like I have no information, and it's really frustrating because I liked the updates just because it was fun to watch Jeff because he's like so passionate about what he's talking about, and there's like a personal connection to the game and the people who are making it. And then it's like, here's a pile of poop.
Do you still get that vibe from him though? Like when he does developer updates, do you think he still seems as positive?
Not for the last couple. Just because the last couple haven't had really any features. Like the ones where he actually has things to talk about, I feel it.
Yeah.
Unless he's talking about toxicity, in which case he's like, just shut the fuck up, please. Please stop being toxic.
Like,
please.
The ones that he shows passionate is when he's doing a hero tease or a reveal. That is when the passion really comes out.
Like a cool new update to a hero, like fan the hammer is like 6 times as fast and you can do it 9 times in a row.
Sorry.
It's just like, you obviously have to do developer updates where you have to talk about like quality of stuff, life stuff that no one cares about, but like help the health of the game, and those are just boring. Like, cool, you finally added a profanity filter that no one can block. Thank you for that kindness. I could have just done a forum post with that, not a developer update.
Which, by the way, I think it's absolutely stupid that GG Easy is automatically censored, but the N word is not.
I used GG Easy for the first time the other day in like a year, and I felt so shitty.
I think they should just like, have you guys played on April Fools, where if you play as Reinhardt, anytime you type his match chat, it's just Reinhardt voice lines? I think we just need that.
Yeah.
Honestly, that'll fix about a third of problems. You'll still have toxicity in voice chat, but I think that'll cut down a lot. And there's never really anything productive said in match chat, is there? Like,
just talking about like tacos and bananas and shit. Like a lot of food.
Or it could have been like on Sunday when it was Belle, Daphne, and Bathwater all the entire the entire day.
And of course, the only person who didn't know was like some. It was like some 12-year-old. I was like, "Who's Belle Delphine?" He's like, "Shut up."
No, you don't.
Shut up, kid. You don't get to know.
I mean, I think on the developer update thing, I think with Blizzard it's hard because this might sound a little bit like a joke, but I sincerely mean it. I feel like they put a lot more like quality control into the content that they create for their games than other games do. Like Fortnite's like, I'm just going to patch every 2 weeks to keep it fresh, right? And if it's fucking scuffed, it's okay. In 2 weeks, we're going to get something new, or we can throw it in the vault or whatever, right?
It's a lot more deliberate.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before, but I think what that means is that I think Jeff's even kind of alluded to this, but there have been features that they've developed and then just like scrapped or not released, right? Now, there's a question there of was that because the quality wasn't there or because it was a decision from someone higher up? But I think what ends up happening is that Jeff had talked about some sort of social system, right? And everyone's like, "Oh, cool, we're gonna get a guild system." And I think it's probably fair to say that that's dead in the water now, and people like still rip them for that.
Mhm.
Wow,
It's like,
that one might have been just like because it happened like right before all the layoffs and like the budgeting issues, and
Yeah.
I think it might have just been like they pushed it off for other things that were more necessary for the health of the game. I don't really think about it that often because I didn't care about the guild system, but I suspect that might be the case.
Well, like there is like what you said, there is something to be said about providing too much information to the player base in one of these developer updates, because if you do say, hey, we're working on the social system, and then it does not come out, it becomes a meme, it becomes a running joke, it becomes a focal point for the negativity and the toxicity. I can say that when I was playing World of Warcraft and Wrath of the Lich King came out, like literally on the box it says custom dance workshop, where you could go in, you can create your own custom dances, all that kind of stuff. It didn't ship with live, it never was patched in. Blizzard never made an official comment about that since that box art. But
That's
to this day, Dance Studio is still a meme. Dance Studio is still brought up. So it depends on, like, it's difficult to give players too much information about what you're
Yep.
working on just in case it breaks everything.
Which is why you have to be specific, but not too specific about things that you know are absolutely going to come.
but I
Like-
guess on the other side of things, right? If you're a developer, I guess you can also choose to just be like, you can talk about it and be like, hey, we're gonna have this social feature, and then not release it for whatever reason, and then people meme about it, and you can kind of just choose to be like, well, you can talk about that all you want, but there's nothing that we can do about it, so we're just going to ignore it, right? Like they have that power. Now, ignoring, I don't know, I don't know if that's necessarily like ignoring fan feedback, because you're still reading it and acknowledging it, but like if there's nothing that you can do, then there's nothing that you can do,
Yeah.
right? So maybe, I don't know, I don't think there's really, like, I think no matter what, people will be unhappy with Blizzard,
It's
and
just
like
a
not
vocal minority thing.
well, I don't know. I don't think it's like a 95%, 5% thing. I think no matter what Blizzard does, like half of people, well, there'll be like a third of people that will always be asking for more, right? So even if they're like, we're going to come and talk to you every single week about what we're doing, there's going to be people being like, well, I would like to know the hourly breakdown of how you are spending your developer time on these projects so that I can know exactly when to expect them, right? You're like always going to have a third of people that are like that for some godforsaken reason. And then maybe you'll have like a third that'll be like, you know what? Okay, Jeff, thanks. And you know what? We'll acknowledge that sometimes things go behind schedule, right? That's okay. It happens, Jeff. And then there's going to be a third that are going to be like, you said you were going to do this on Friday, and it's Saturday, and it's not here, so I'm uninstalling your fucking game.
They're always so apologetic when something doesn't come out when they say it. They're like, we're so sorry. There is an issue. We don't want to give you a broken game. They're like, give me the fucking broken game, bitches. Do it. Give me. I paid $40 for this bullshit. And you're like,
paid $40
do you-
for this game?
do you really want to play a game where Diva's like phasing in and out of existence?
Ooh, that sounds fun, actually. That sounds just like
No,
the Lush-
where your
100%
screen
victory.
just goes black. Not like she turns invisible. Your screen just goes black for 10 seconds and then turns back on.
Are you sure this isn't the new Sombra buff? I think that comes with hack now.
Don't
That would
even
make
don't even
sense.
joke about that.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I appreciated the idea of the developer update in that they were telling us that they had more stuff. Because it sounded like, I guess he said it because I think there's going to be multiple developer updates in a pretty short amount of time, and he wanted us to be like, well, we're not just giving you this, we're going to give you like 3 different things, which I appreciate, because then like we have a reason to live. Like, we have the summer games coming soon. Cool. Oh, there's a hero coming after that. Cool. And then on Thursday, I don't know if either of you caught this. Thursday they're doing a special watch point where they do stage 4 like summary of what's going to happen, which I suspect if it's not 222 announcement, then that's never going to happen ever in this
They're
stage.
going back to no hero limits.
I hope
That's
so.
it.
I want to see triple Sim, triple Lucio. And also,
Salted hops. I'm
they
sorry.
just don't do developer updates because people get so angry. Like, people get, like, so toxic. Like, people, when they say, give me reworked Mercy, no, just delete Mercy at this point. Just make the people shut up. Like, you're not going to get a better Mercy than the state she's in now.
But how is
because
that going to shut people up? If you
Because-
delete Mercy from the game, you're just going to make 100% of Mercy mains
honest to
lie
God,
out the pain until the end of days.
I bet when Jeff Kaplan reads a forum post about Mercy, he fucking takes a shot of whiskey and, like, smashes his head against the desk. Like, he doesn't want to fucking deal with that.
Dude,
Same
maybe
with
that's why
Brig.
maybe that's why he sounded so like impassionate in the latest dev update, as he was just fucking hammered from reading post after post about Mercy on the forums.
Like, people, I think they actually kind of just, they probably disconnected the forums from
Yeah.
everything else in the Blizzard website, so they don't have to read it. Like, they're just like, oh, well, forums over here. We
Oh,
have
no,
to walk
it's-
over to this one computer on the opposite side of the building to read the forum posts. But it's like 2 miles away, so I'm not going to read it.
You
That's
know,
probably what they've done at this point.
I'm gonna take something off chat real fast. Did you guys happen to see the clip where they actually had the 222 confirmed allegation? Like,
The Your Overwatch that I got a notification for this morning, where they also like talked about Hero 31.
yes.
No, well,
But-
this is the one where it's like them on the desk, right?
Yep. Where
Oh, I
it's
saw that one. I saw that one.
where you have Puckett going, and then the rest of them going like this for 222. I
Means we're
hope.
getting 7 hero, right?
I mean,
It's gonna be.
I just really hope that that's like a gold tier debate from the desk.
I kind of think it is. I think that's something that would be more likely from them than actually being like, 222 is coming, guys. Haha.
Chris just whispers to the rest, guys, let's fuck these kids up. Let's do it.
Like, I still just, I want to see the outrage if they announce on Thursday, oh yeah, Overwatch League is going to go 222, but ladders, it's still the Wild West. Like,
I think that's the worst thing you can do. Holy shit.
We have people on the inside that say it's coming at the same time.
Who do we have? Maple, tell me who we have. I
Yeah.
don't know who we have. That said that.
Tell me, Maple, tell me. Who do we have?
It's me. It's been me the whole time. I'm Jeff
it
Kaplan's
down.
son.
No, I'm the one that sounds like Jeff. I get people in my comp games all the time.
I had
They're like,
someone the
"Wait,
other
is that
day
Jeff
tell me
Kaplan?"
I sound like Jeff.
And then I'm like, when the fuck is Jeff Kaplan playing on East Coast?
Have you seen that clip? It was from like a year and a half ago. Sorry to digress, but XQC was doing a custom game and he found the voice actress for Tracer just like randomly, or like someone who sounded so stupidly similar to her. And he's like,
He
"Hey, can
doesn't
you say
have a
this
leaks
voice
pad.
line?"
I mean,
Yeah.
I think a lot of the people that were voice actors like and play the game.
Matt Mercer plays it. I see clips
Yep.
every once in a while.
Yep,
People
Mercer
are like,
plays.
say the line. He's like, it's high noon. And people start screeching into the voice comms.
I really hope that he like secretly has a top 500 McCree one trick account, but he like never uses voice chat on that account, right? Like he's just like, I just really want to play McCree today.
He's aimbot
then-
Calvin. And he's using
would
a
make a lot of
voice
sense.
modifier. That's hot.
I'm into it. But what about when Calvin has video, like a webcam?
Do we?
Okay.
Okay, but like, I could set up anything. Like, I could set up an image going, just a video of some random person there. Doesn't
Maybe he
necessarily.
maybe he just like
Huge
paid
makeup
someone.
job.
He
Huge
just like paid
Yeah.
some Korean guy
And
to
normally,
just like sit in a room.
and normally his camera angle is like this. So like, you can't really see if like he's the one actually talking or not.
I think
This is it. Chad.
Calvin's Australian Vietnamese. I think. Pretty
Like,
sure he's
I
Vietnamese.
could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
Chat. Somebody,
FLM's validating
somebody
me right
confirm.
now. I think
They said Australian Viet and then immediately said I'm wrong.
I'm not really sure what FLM's trying to do. He's fucking me up.
One of these days we need to get FLM on the show. But I think we've come to the end of the episode, unless there's something else that you guys really want to talk about, or if chat has any last minute questions.
We might as well end on a miraculous train wreck.
If you want a comparison to Overwatch's scuffed developer updates, Riot posts League of Legends' entire dev path for like the next year. So does like everyone else. Developer roadmaps are cool, but also they're just big debates unless they actually stick to them, or they give updates saying, "Oh yeah, we're a couple weeks late. Just hold on tight, guys." Add in that bouncy ball to the Fortnite in 20 minutes. Or you can be like Fortnite, where you add a map literally 2 weeks before a $30 million tournament.
They have so much money it doesn't fucking matter to them, honestly. It's just a way to promote Fortnite and promote personalities, I think.
As long as I get my free games every week from Epic Games.
But you know what, to be honest, I had a thought and it's completely gone now. Maple, what were you saying before you said Fortnite?
I don't know.
Riot. So what I think would be really interesting to see from the Overwatch team is instead of a developer update where they're like, hey, we're working on feature X and feature Y and blah blah blah, right? I would really love Jeff to talk about like not like patch note plans for the next 6 months, right? But I would love for him to be like, this is my long-term like vision for what I want to do with Overwatch. So like over the next year, I want to try to push towards a system where we reduce toxicity through a number of different features, by not only addressing punishment systems, but also how we actually do things like matchmaking, right? I want to introduce new kinds of characters that specifically control like this aspect of the game, right? Or like has strengths and weaknesses here, right? And I think that would be a really interesting way of not necessarily promising things or like specific features, but helping the player base know like we care and this is what we're working towards, right? I feel like that would go a longer way, like to me personally at least, than just being like, we have a new hero coming out in 2 months, but you knew that because you pay attention to our release schedule and we put out a new hero every 3 months or 4 months or whatever, right? I think that would be much more interesting, but I don't know if they'll ever do that because competition with other games and stuff. I don't know.
Also, Blizzard's real tight-lipped on development.
Jeff, just give me a call and we'll talk about it and I'll let the people know.
I think
I know Jeff watches this podcast specifically.
Absolutely. He is
none of the other ones.
I mean,
I'll get you leaks, chat.
I do have Jeff Kaplan's email. I could always send him a message asking.
Jeff Kaplan's specific email. Like, why in the world would they say, "Oh yes, you're working with Blizzard. Let's give you this, and Jeff Kaplan's email because he was related to contenders."
He was CC'd on an email chain that I was a part of.
What the fuck?
So I might just cold call him.
On Blizzard.com.
It's Tiggle Biddies.
Nice.
I think you mean
which is a deep cut. Which is a deep cut. If anybody knows Jeff's.
I know that cut. See, I think the really funny thing is that Maple doesn't know that cut.
Oh, no. I knew it.
But you said big old titties. But that's not.
Yes, because I was playing into the obvious humor and hiding the subtle humor. Thanks, Squid. Jesus Christ.
All right, I'm doing a one-man show now. We can't have Hops or Maple on. All right, everybody.
Not funny enough to carry yourself through a one-man
We're going to go to twitch.tv/squid on the base. It's going to be a fucking train wreck, but it'll be us. So it's all good.
Oh, yes, you did make. All right, so to recap, because a couple people have been asking about it in chat, my announcement from the beginning of the stream is that starting August 15th, I will be officially the Washington State University esports coordinator, helping to work getting their esports varsity program up off the ground. So that will be very, very cool. I'm going to be, I don't think it's going to have to do with Overwatch. I think it's going to go to League of Legends and fighting games and
it's time to learn how to play League.
Madden and 2K. But Huh? Rocket League is one
Rocket League.
that we are talking about, but I'm going to be doing a lot of research on other games and a lot of
Wait, how is a fighting game but not?
Smash
How
Brothers.
is? Oh, okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
I
Or
mean,
they
it,
just
yeah,
pinwheel out of the screen.
probably not, because like
Mortal
Washington State
Kombat?
University has a registered student group with over 500 members that are just focused on Smash. So we're going to be running WSUCon in the fall, probably closer to winter time. That is going to have potentially a 200 player Smash tournament.
Jesus.
Like
Christ.
it's big deal up here.
How many
So,
people attend WSU? Do you know what like the total number is?
if you do not count the global campus and online students, it is around 22 to 23,000. If you
Wow.
tack
Okay.
on the global
Hefty
student, it's about 11,000 more.
Yeah, they don't count.
Wow.
Towards this kind of thing.
Well, actually, I mean,
towards, like, this kind of thing, right?
the esports program is going to be centered in the global campus, where it's going to be. So it's not just going to be a LAN focused group. They want to get people from all over the country that are Cougs to join the program, so this way they can do online tournaments where it's not necessary that you have a LAN center. This way you can just get anybody who's a Coug. So it should be very cool. I don't know specifically what my day to day is going to be until probably closer to the 15th, but it's going to be very, very cool.
Pain, misery,
Mark the
suffering.
time and date, August 15th, death of the podcast.
I mean,
There it is.
it's
Right in time when I get back on normal internet.
it's going to be the death of a lot of my online responsibilities. I'm going to have to pare back on quite a few.
Yeah.
Wait, do you hear that, Maple? We can steal his job.
Yes, you can. You don't want my job. You don't want that
I
job.
have my own. I already have.
We
my
make Maple do that job.
damn straight.
Or- yeah.
I
Or
mean,
March. Probably March.
Yeah, March can be our.
She's not here, so we can make her take your responsibilities now while she's not here.
that's fine. If someone else wants to take my responsibilities from Elo Hell main server, go for it.
I already have my own responsibilities within the Elo Hell.
Yeah,
Thank
and that's going swimmingly.
I'm not doing anything. Everything is just done. Like it just does it. I haven't like looked in that server for such a long time. It just works on its own.
Pugs don't need her. Main server memes needs March.
I think I'm the only one who goes in there now.
No, I check memes and I check rants.
I'm sorry that you have to check memes. What a
I-
truly
There's
wretched place.
there's a
you've
guy
stumbled upon.
posting like some weird edgy shit today, and I'm like, please stop. And he did one of those ones where he'd post like 7 at a time, so you'd delete one for a war, and like half of the chat would just disappear because all the memes would be deleted at once.
One of these days we need to get into personal stories and online and horror stories and
I almost told mine when you said that you had Jeff's email address because I was like, apparently it can't be that hard to get
it's
from my story.
it's not. But all right, chat. So, barring I don't see any additional questions in chat. Squid, do you have anything that you'd like to promote outside this? Anything you're working on?
Not as of right now. I think I guess I don't know if this is a spoiler, but we're going to be trying to put some of this content on YouTube for people that can't view it live, and trying to put some clips out. And we're trying to be more active on social media. And if you like the stream and you'd like other people to be interested in the stream, interact with us on social media. We're trying. Maple's going to make a lot of bad memes, but
Please follow us.
he's trying his best.
The Batcat. No, not even that. Just Batcat Pod. That's our
Batcat
Twitter.
Pod.
Is that what it
Please
is now?
follow
We
us.
did change. Okay,
We did
cool.
change it.
Much better now. And of course, obviously, the most important part is follow me, twitter.com/squidonthebase.
Follow
Squid on
me.
the
Follow
Base. I don't
Hops.
know.
Follow all of us. We post okay stuff. I run the account. If you ever have memes, please send them to me. My meme game is hella weak right now.
I'm like this close to firing Maple and hiring like Leg Day to run the
Just
social
hire him.
media.
God,
It's
that would be
better than
so good. Can we just hire Leg Day anyway?
Ooh. He already said he'd come on the podcast, so I might have to pull his pull his follicles a little bit to get him on here.
That's a
That would be
weird
fun.
sentence.
We need
I
to
don't
step
know if I
up.
like that.
I would need Maple needs to get a webcam, and then
It
we would
should
need
be
to
next
get
week.
Hops a wig, and we would need to make sure Maple has a fly haircut, and I just have to like spike a bunch of this shit up, right? Like we'd have to coordinate the hair
Boy
game a
haircut.
little bit, I think.
All right, this train wreck at the end of this show has gone on too far. Maple, any last plugs?
Stay safe, don't die. There is a light at the end of the Overwatch tunnel. Addiction has an answer. Get help. Admit that you have a problem. Stop.
Find a new game.
Yes, play Fortnite because it's objectively better. They update more than once a month.
Is it my turn to walk away this stream, or do you want to do it again, Hops?
All right. So yeah, go ahead and follow these two chucklenucks, and
Don't follow Hops though.
don't follow me. I already have enough clout. I'm good.
He has a real job now.
I know.
The rest of us are just
This is
struggling along in life.
if
And
my
not even a real job, a real esports job.
Yeah.
like if my fat, balding, simmy, smooth-brained fat ass can
Pat,
get a
Hey,
job.
Pat, there's your insult that you were asking for earlier.
Exactly. If my peanut brain fat ass can get an esports job, you can too. All right.
Ooh,
I
we're
will
gonna
talk. I will
cut
talk
the
to you guys
last 2
later.
minutes of this bad boy.
Thank you, chat. Thank you to my hosts.
Night chat.
Good night.
I'm waving goodnight.
No, you're not.